Should I really watch the Confused Matthew Lion King review? Oh no. That's a classic though. See, look, it's like I'm already like halfway through it on this thing.
This commentary is going to be tough because a lot of the clarifications I feel like I should make here have mostly been made in the Lion King re-review, which, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, as I consider it to be an improved version of my thoughts. The reaction to this review was pretty much all over the map. Some people thought that there was a bit of insight here and there, even if they didn't agree. Some people just thought it was dirt stupid. And unfortunately, I think there was a certain subset of fans that took this review very personally.
Fucking get to it already. Oh, it's like the first 5-6 minutes is just saying like, man, I deleted this review and re-uploaded it because people missed it, but I originally deleted it because I know that it's bad, and the only reason that it's bad is because I was making videos that I didn't expect people to watch that weren't already friends with me. It's like I was making videos for like my mom. I feel mean right now. I don't want to be mean. Like I wouldn't normally do this type of thing to somebody who's like a really small creator, but Confused Matthew is actually like a very like influential reviewer for the YMS channel. Because I watched this review before I ever had a YouTube channel. So yeah, 2008. Probably watched this review sometime in 2009. And I saw his subscriber count, and he had like 9,000 subscribers or something like that. And I watched this review, and I was like, if this guy can get 9,000 subscribers, I can fucking do that. That was literally like what can... That was like not even kidding. That was like one of the moments for like creating my YouTube channel, was watching the Confused Matthew Lion King review and being like, if this gigantic piece of shit can get views... Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, this, if Confused Matthew didn't exist, then YMS might not exist.
You know his words will get you farther than the film will ever go. Please take a moment of your time, he'll tell you what's wrong with the show. He knows what's good, what's bad, what's really bad. His face is just a sign. Say hello to Confused Matthew.
What I love about this persona is that it's in the title. Everything you need to know is in the title. He's very confused, right? It's so self-descriptive. It's like it's unintentionally perfect.
I've hated The Lion King from the moment I first saw it as a kid. I left the theater back then completely astounded by what Disney had done to their once flawless...
Like, this channel, and I'm trying not to be a bully, I'm trying not to be mean, but like this channel, I've already explained that it quite literally inspired me to start my own review channel. So like this and Red Letter Media. Red Letter Media for positive reasons, this one for not positive reasons. This channel, the way that he justifies his feelings towards films is literally him just like not understanding the intent of the filmmaking or the director. That's pretty much every complaint that could be boiled down. So if you watch it, I don't know if this is still on YouTube or if he re-uploaded it or anything. He used to be on Blip TV, which is what I was on when I had those on my website. And if you can find his like No Country for Old Men review, literally like the entire thing is him showing clips of like slower paced moments that are building tension and him going like, nothing's happening right now. Like he'll show the scene of Anton Chigurh and it's like the camera's pointed down at his feet as he's going up to the trailer and he's like, nothing's happening. Why is nothing happening right now?
So Anton cleans his wound. Anton cleans his wound. Anton cleans his wound. Anton cleans his wound. No, stop telling me to shut up. If you were happy watching this in the film, you should be perfectly happy watching a description of this in the film.
And it's like, you literally just don't understand pacing. You literally don't understand tension building, right? And it's fine to... It would be more okay if at any point he acknowledged that that's what the attempt of the filmmaking was, but he disagreed with how it was being carried out. But it really, like, in his videos, it just seems like he doesn't even understand what the intention of the scene is, right? So...
succession of films.
Anyway, this is a classic review.
Phenomenal flop. I mean, no one could actually like this film, right? What's there to like?
My favorite part about this review is that the entire soundtrack, it's not my favorite part, but one of my favorite parts about this review is the entire soundtrack of this review has the Lion King soundtrack, right? And like, even listening to just some young person complaining about the movie, even listening to that while the soundtrack is playing, I'm still getting like an emotional experience from the soundtrack, right? Meanwhile, he's talking about how every element is just like the worst fucking thing, and yet the soundtrack is playing, and it's just like the emotional resonance that comes with Hans Zimmer's score. It's not even hindered by his commentary, which I just find fascinating.
To say I was completely wrong. With this review, I am going to demonstrate just how awful this film truly was. I will demonstrate that, with the possible exception of the animation, the film has no redeeming quality at all. With the possible exception of the animation, the film has no redeeming quality at all. As he's playing the soundtrack, should be ignored.
What's funny is he loves musicals too. His favorite movies are musicals. I think he loved Moulin Rouge, and he also thinks that Beauty and the Beast is like the best Disney movie ever. He loves Beauty and the Beast, if I'm not mistaken, which I just find hilarious. Because I'm trying to understand, like, what did you like about Beauty and the Beast? He hates Kill Bill. I mean, you could just be making shit up, and I'd believe it. I have no idea. Like, I don't understand this person's taste at all, really.
To deliver on this,
other than he dislikes a lot of really good things.
To demonstrate and then we jump a ways in time to when Simba is a little kid. It's here that we really meet Simba for the first time, and well, let me give you a quick synopsis of how we're introduced to this character. Come on, Dad, let's go do what I want to do. No, Dad, you're sleeping. That's not what I want to do. Get up and let's go do what I want to do.
So he goes on to further justify why the film is bad because Simba acts like a real kid. and like, I have to imagine, like, wait a minute. Like, did you not have any flaws as a child? Like, you were like the most perfect child that ever existed, and that you didn't grow up? Like, that's part of the character's arc, right? Like, that's something that is essentially crucial to like the film, is that Simba has an arc, right? He grows up, and he not only grows up literally, but he grows up figuratively. He grows up and matures in an emotional and logical, mental way, you know? Like, he goes through a transformation where he starts to understand what is important to him, and he stops running away from his problems, right? You can't have an arc if the character starts out perfect to begin with. But Confused Matthew wants a film where the main character is literally perfect at the very beginning of the movie, and even as like a child, as like whatever, a 7-year-old, let's say, even as a 7-year-old, they're supposed to be like the most perfect la-di-da, kind and caring, like no conflict, no nuance, right? And so yeah, it's it's one of those things where it's like, man, if you got what you want, the movie would be so bad. If every movie was what Confused Matthew wanted it to be, every movie would be so fucking shit.
This is the first and probably biggest problem in this whole film. Simba, our supposed hero and protagonist, is an asshole. I mean, he doesn't listen to anyone, he's not very nice, he treats everyone around him like shit, and he only cares about himself. When I'm king, I'm gonna do everything my way. This place is gonna be dedicated to loving me. And when I think of the heroes in the last...
See, he hasn't justified whatsoever why that's a negative quality to the film. He is only justified why he personally does not like that. That's it. He's like, I don't want to see a main character that's a child that's not perfect. I don't like seeing that. And that's the only thing he hasn't explained why that's a bad thing for a film to show. Like, what, you're not allowed to show a variety of different characters?
Yeah,
like,
my belly feels great.
I bet he hates Phantom Thread. Thank you so much. I bet he absolutely fucking hates Phantom Thread. I can guarantee you he loathes Phantom Thread if he's seen it, right? Like, it doesn't seem like he would enjoy a type of movie at all where there's any type of character that's a character study, where it's not like, oh, I'm supposed to immediately love this character right away sort of thing, right?
They were all genuinely good people.
Yeah, he's the negative aspects of the test audience, yeah.
When I think of the heroes in the last 3 Disney films, I can see that they all have something in common. They were all genuinely good people who had lots of hopes and dreams.
Yeah, you didn't see them as fucking toddlers either. We started out with Ariel as an adult. We started out with Belle as an adult. We started out with Aladdin as an adult. Like, what are you talking about? You never saw them as kids. Sorry.
For a more contemporary, non-Disney example, I'll tell you the one character.
This is the best line ever.
Reminded me of Simba.
Listen to this.
Draco Malfoy.
Okay, wait. This is like this is the line that I think of whenever I think of this review.
But for a more contemporary, non-Disney example, I'll tell you the one character who instantly reminded me of Simba, Draco Malfoy of the Harry Potter series. In fact, aside from the differences in species, Simba and Draco are exactly the same character.
That's the line. Aside from the differences in species, Simba and Draco Malfoy are exactly the same character. I love it. That right there was like, fuck, if this guy can get subscribers, I can get subscribers. I should make a review channel.
In fact, aside from the differences in species, Simba and Draco are exactly the same character. I'm better than you are, Potter. When I grow up, I'm going to rule all of Hogwarts.
So let's imagine for a second that we had a film with Draco Malfoy as a child, and it explored the character. There was a traumatic initial incident, and Draco Malfoy had a massive character arc that transformed his character into something else. That would still be a good movie, right? That doesn't mean a movie would be bad because somebody starts out like that. And even so, I mean, Simba and Draco Malfoy are not the same character.
I spent the first third of this film just being really confused. I didn't know why I was
He was
supposed to
confused.
like Simba. I didn't know why I was supposed to care about Simba. I only had one consistent thought through the entire...
He's a kid! He's so relatable for kids, too. If you're like a fucking 7-year-old, you'd watch Simba and you'd be like, hell yeah. It's so weird that, like, according to Confused Matthew, he was a child and, like, absolutely hated this character. That's so strange to me.
You know,
When I have problems with children characters in movies, my problem is that they're not really characters and they're used as props for the main character. So like in World War Z, the kids aren't even characters. They didn't even hire good actors, they just hired cute actors. They didn't give a shit about their acting. The kids don't even need to exist in the movie. They only exist to like be little plot device conflict machines, right? That's it. That's my issue with kids in movies. If it's a character that we're exploring, I don't care if they're, like, supposed to be a perfect human being at the age of 7, right? Why would I care about, like... It's just so restrictive on art to say that you can't have a character like that. That's not a villain, right?
Because he's an asshole.
Like,
Sorabi says it's fine,
such a
as long
limited
as Zazu goes with them to
range of what a movie
Simba
can
appears to
be.
be resentful. You guys suck and I am great. Me. You guys suck and I am great. It's all about me. Heartwarming. So Simba disrespects and humiliates Zazu and leaves him for dead in the underside of a rhino. Which brings a tally of elders he's disrespected and disobeyed to 4. This is our hero, ladies and gentlemen.
You can't have a hero that disrespects elders when they're a child.
This is our hero. So they get to the elephant graveyard. Zazu catches up with them.
Like, that's the thing, though. It's like, he says, this is our hero, but he's not a hero. He hasn't done anything heroic. That's the point of a character. This character goes through an arc. They change. They grow. He goes through a physical and metaphorical, like, mental, also, transformation. Like, he literally transforms in every way. He is not this, but by the end of the movie, he's not the same person that he was at the beginning of the movie. He's not a hero yet. He hasn't done anything heroic. For you to say, like, this is our hero, it's like, what do you mean? Oh, am I supposed to like Merry and Pippin when they're such little shits at the beginning of The Lord of the Rings? And then at the end of the movie, you know, by the end of the trilogy, they do some cool shit. They save their friends and stuff. They participate in the battle.
And oh my god, he's even a little asshole in foreign lands. I'm the future king. You can't do anything to me.
Child.
Oh, come on, guys. Eat him. Eat him. Turns out Mufasa actually cares about this little shit for some reason and decided to save his life. So now he's going to teach his son.
It's his son!
So now a lot of people who have heard this complaint from me have given the same defense. Simba is just a little kid. Little kids are rambunctious and rebellious. Well, I was a little kid once, and I was rebellious and rambunctious. But I was never this much of an obstinate, willful, selfish, dishonest, disobedient little asshole.
So every movie that you watch, that you're supposed to literally see yourself in the main character, or else it's not a good movie? Like, when you say it's a kid, we're not saying it was you as a kid. If you were goody little two-shoes and literally did every single thing that every adult in your life told you to do, regardless of what they said, if you were a perfect little obedient sheep or whatever, and didn't do anything rebellious, and you weren't an asshole whatsoever as a child, that's fine. But does that therefore mean that every single film in existence, in order to be a good movie, has to reflect your experience as a child, and not just another child? Some people say, it's just a kid. To that, I say, I wasn't that kid.
It seems he thinks that being ambitious automatically makes him an ass. Simba knows he is going to be a leader and everyone else does as well, but he doesn't go out of his way to make people kiss his boots.
Yeah, he's not like... When he's being an asshole, he doesn't know he's being an asshole. He doesn't see someone in pain and then laugh at it. He doesn't, like, take joy out of making other people feel miserable. Except for maybe Zazu, debatably, during the scene where he's like, well, I want to explore anyway. Like, that's a realistic kid thing. So, like, your argument against, like, people saying, oh, it's just a kid, you can't just defend your position by saying, well, I wasn't like that as a kid. Yeah, we're saying a kid, not you as a kid. We're not saying you personally as a child. No one's saying that Simba is you. I've never seen any child act like a child. Were you homeschooled? Like, were you homeschooled? I really want to know.
Not killing the kid. This scene then rolls into the most pointless villain song I've ever heard in my life. The only thing we learn in this song is that Scar is using the hyenas to try to take over the Pride Lands. We know. That's what he just tried to do. So after this...
Was it... What? That's a lie! That's actually a lie, because this song is about him not just, like, taking over the Pride Lands, but, like, him planning on killing Simba and Mufasa.
They're upset about not...
Which, like, also, by the way, like, previous to this scene, because I have this movie fucking memorized, previous to this scene, like, you didn't really understand that Scar is trying to take over the Pride Lands at all. You didn't know that. After Mufasa comes and saves Simba and Nala, it just pans up to Scar looking up there. There's a lot up to interpretation in that, right? What's funny is if this song didn't exist, he would be so confused. There's no way he would know just by a pan-up shot of Scar being there. Based on the other reviews I've seen from this person, he wouldn't be able to interpret that. Like,
So after this gratuitous scene, we then see Scar taking Simba to a rock in the middle of nowhere. Now to keep this brief, I'll just sum this up for you. Hyenas cause stampede, Simba gets caught up, father saves his life, Scar kills father, Simba very sad. This is in fact supposed to be one of the saddest moments in cinematic history, but I just didn't see it that way. I mean, it's a little kid who just lost a parent. That has a default setting of being generally sad. But since we don't like Simba, and we didn't know Mufasa very well...
But since we don't like Simba...
Aladdin was a horrible liar. He faked his identity to get laid.
That's also true. Like, he stole from people. He was stealing from people, like, from the first scene. So how do you not apply that same logic that you're applying to Simba to Aladdin, or Ariel, or... Like, Belle's the only goody-two-shoes perfect one out of the three of those, right?
I'm convinced that this dude doesn't watch movies, he reads Cliff Notes and then tries to criticize it.
I know he watches the movie, he just... It's okay for him to not like the movie, but the way he justifies it as though it's logical in any way is kind of infuriating.
What follows this is the most underexplained moment in the entire film, and that's a big deal because it's also one of the most crucial points in the film. What in all fucking hell makes Simba think that this is his fault?
Because he roared! Because he roared! Scar told him to practice his little roar! And then Simba was like, "Rawr!" And then he looked, it echoed in the canyon, and then he looked up, and then the fucking stampede happened, and that's why he thought it was his fault.
Like he caused the stampede,
and the only thing
Scar says to him is, the king is dead, and if it weren't for you, he'd still be alive. This implies that this is supposed to be Simba's fault because he was there and needed rescue. But
See, this is why I don't believe that if that musical number didn't exist, that he would know that Scar was trying to take over the Pride Lands, other than the fact that, like, he's clearly defined as a villain, I guess. If he doesn't understand why Simba thinks that it was his fault, then how am I supposed to... I don't believe you.
The only reason he was there is because Scar
He's
put him
confused.
there. Simba even offered to go with Scar to get his dad. Scar said no, just stay on this rock and practice your little roar.
It's funny that he even mentions the roar without even realizing that that's why he thought that.
Even a grieving
and he missed
8-year-old
he
idiot
missed
should
the whole
be able to figure
roar,
out.
echo, pan up, look up to the stampede. He missed that whole thing. He missed it.
Now to keep this brief, I'll just sum this up for you. Hyenas cause stampede, Simba gets caught up, father saves his life, Scar kills father, Simba very sad. And
I need you to comment on the amount of likes as opposed to dislikes. What the fuck am I even looking at?
The reason why it has so many likes as opposed to dislikes is because this is a re-upload. The original review, I don't think, had this high of a ratio. This has an overwhelming amount of likes as opposed to dislikes, because the only people watching this are people that remember it, right? And the people that remember it who are not me are people who like this guy and like what he said, right? Whereas I remember it and I looked it up and I looked for this re-upload because I find it hilarious.
You've got to give us a better motivation than, I believe it's so, because I was there. This scene is the
You missed the roar!
Definition
You missed
of
it!
contrived.
You're confused!
So anyway, and then we are introduced to Timon and Pumbaa. And here, I have to give credit where credit is due. Because as far as Disney villains go, these are two of the most evil, nasty, despicable, despisable Disney villains I've ever seen on screen.
The reason why I'm so fascinated by this is because, like, you never understand why he believes what he believes. You never understand, even once he justifies it, even if he spends 10 minutes explaining something, it's still impossible to rationalize. Like, no one can possibly understand what is going through this guy's head.
They actually do something to this kid that's just as bad, if not worse, than what Scar did to him when he told him to run away. They convince him that if you've got problems, sweep them under the rug. You've got responsibilities? Shirk them. Ignore everything in your life and live like a lazy, stupid, selfish, greedy little bastard like we do.
Like, he doesn't carry that philosophy throughout the entire film. When he meets Rafiki, he understands that although there is some benefit to not dwelling on the past, you can also learn from the past rather than running from it. That is a part of the character's arc. That is a part of the character's growth. You cannot have an arc and you cannot have growth if the character, from the moment they are born, is the most perfect person in existence and has zero flaws. That is not possible. You cannot have an arc without the character being somewhat flawed in the beginning of the film. Why do you want all films to have main characters that never go through arcs? Why do you want all films to be bullshit?
Let me ask you a question, Lion King fans. If the only salvageable point to this film is that you shouldn't shirk your responsibilities and shouldn't sweep your problems under the rug, why does Hakuna Matata get its own song? Why is Hakuna Matata portrayed in a positive light in that song?
Perhaps there's a bit of nuance. Perhaps you shouldn't worry about every single thing that bothers you. But also, perhaps there's a bit more depth to it. And in certain situations, when your entire fucking society needs you, that you shouldn't just run from your problems and accept your own role as king and try to help things. Perhaps there's a bit of nuance in this story that you're not picking up on. I bet he liked the remake more. Because in the remake, they flat out say, like, Hakuna Matata, that's bad. There's, like, no nuance to it in the remake. They literally just say, like, life is meaningless.
So then Simba grows up, and then we see that wait. He grows up, and what's more, you give him all the personality of tepid pudding? You establish this kid as a little asshole and then turn him into a vegetable without any justification for the move? He didn't grow, he didn't change, he just rebooted. This character is the way he is for reasons totally unrelated to this character.
Now he's mad that, like, he's not still an asshole that he didn't like? Now he's mad that he's not the character that he was just complaining about for the first half of the review?
Why did we even need to watch the first third? Why didn't you just start the film right here?
I mean, based on the other examples of Disney movies you gave, I can see why you think that. You want a character to not have any flaws or any growth or anything whatsoever, right? You want it to start out as 16-year-old Ariel or however old Belle or however old Aladdin, right? You don't want to see them grow as a character.
Isn't this a pretty picture? We've got both the protagonist and the antagonist laying around, not doing anything. Oh,
that was basically his entire No Country for Old Men review, was like, they're not doing anything! They're not doing anything!
He's seen the same things I've seen, and it certainly made an impression on me.
When? When did it make an impression on you? All you did when you got over there was just bumble around in the landscape with a deadpan expression on your face. It made no impression on you. You were just bored. Write characters, then make them say things like that.
He would probably be a huge Kimba
you know what?
fan.
There you go, Simba. There's a girlfriend. It's a love story now. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Unlike Aladdin and Jasmine, who fell in love because, although they were both on opposite sides of the social field, they could relate to each other about feeling trapped in their lives, or like Belle, who fell in love with the Beast because she saw the inner good in him, which made him see the inner good in himself and fall in love with her, Simba and Nala fall in love because they've had 3 seconds of screen time together.
Did you miss the entire part where they were friends as children?
Because who wants to see a story about someone having to get the girl when you can just drop one on him?
She didn't just show up. They hadn't seen each other in years.
Hi and welcome to part 3. So when we last met our heroes, and then we're introduced to the character Rafiki, who barely qualifies as a character as far as I'm concerned.
What is this person smoking?
I said this after I saw the movie for the first time, and I think it's true even to today. You could just skip Rafiki's part and go right to Simba seeing his dad in the clouds, and it would be exactly the same.
Skipping Rafiki is honestly what it felt like in the remake.
Yeah.
Why
I'm not gonna
is
watch the
Mufasa
No Country for Old Men
only
review right now.
appearing to Simba now? Why didn't he appear to him, oh, I don't know, when these two assholes were...
Do you think that Rafiki might have had something to do with it? When you were just asking why Rafiki would show up there, and you were saying that Mufasa could show up without Rafiki being there, and now you're saying, why does Mufasa show up now? Do you think that Rafiki might not have something to do with it?
I really felt like the writers were basically saying this to me at this point. You're kids. We know how stupid you are. You'll watch anything. Just shut up and go with it. And what makes this worse...
Not like Beauty and the Beast.
...is that Mufasa doesn't even say anything useful or applicable to the
What are you
situation to Simba. He says, remember who you are. Well, who's that? The asshole or the cucumber? Because I don't think that either one, even though nothing that we've seen or heard from them in this film justifies this decision. They never had an epiphany where they learned Hakuna Matata was bad. They never learned not to be
He has to enjoy the remake more, because that's what they do in the remake.
are Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah.
Even though
Did Jon Favreau watch this review? So he just said that there's nothing that justifies why Timon and Pumbaa would be there to help. Even though we had... Literally, like, they grew up together. Like, it was off screen. Sure, there was a montage, but they've spent the last, like, fucking 5 years together at least.
...to Simba for emotionally grounding him in the dirt this whole time.
Do not bully, do not
and
bully.
Maybe using... This was funny. I laughed at this hard. So Simba finally faces... You know, Scar told you guys that both Mufasa and Simba were killed in the stampede.
That's why they're confused!
And seeing Simba alive here kind of seems to contradict that story. Scar told you guys that both Mufasa and Simba were killed in a stampede, and now he's trying to turn it around and say that Simba was responsible, which really contradicts his original story. What does Simba's mom say to him when she hears this? It's not true. Tell me it's not true.
Well,
Okay,
because Simba's
come on.
fucking
This
playing
is-
along with it. Simba's reacting to it as though it's true. And they're looking at him being like, oh, tell me it's not true. Because they're seeing him going along with it. And because Simba believes that, right? For reasons that I've explained already, they're looking at Simba saying, please tell me it's not true. Right? Fuck.
Stupid. Not one of these lions is even remotely curious as to how a 2-pound cub could have possibly been responsible for the death of a 600-pound lion.
That's why they're saying, tell me it's not true. They're coming, they're
They're not even gonna ask? Of course not.
They
Because
said
if
it!
they did ask, the writers would have to Hey, you know, now that you mention it, Scar did smack me across the world when I said I was going for help, and yet somehow I never put the pieces together.
He
on
got knocked out, you
that. But now that you mention it, yeah, this is Scar's fault. Okay, come on, guys, let's get at him. This is the Lion King, so now the writers are going to wrap this thing up, not with any kind of moral or lesson, but with violence. So they fight.
What was the moral in Beauty and the Beast that you loved so much that didn't end in violence? Beauty and the Beast ended in violence? What do you mean? What was the moral there?
Nowhere. What the hell are those two doing cheering up there? They didn't do anything. They're partially responsible for what happened to Pride Rock since they're the ones who were holding Simba back this whole time.
What?
You know what? Fuck this. Take them out of there. That's better. It turns out there were actually two.
They saved his life! They saved his fucking life!
And two...
Oh, I can't even say that I was like that familiar with like the whole review. I'd only watched like the first part so many times. Also, remember this is from 2008. And although I'm sure Confused Matthew has not changed his perspective on whether or not he enjoys The Lion King, who knows? Maybe he's not so terrible at communicating his opinions now. I don't know.
Fuck you for wasting my time with this!
Love with Nala so fast it mirrors spontaneous combustion.
Oh, I gotta pee. I'm so sorry. Oh my god. Alright, BRB.